Good afternoon, Facebook. Happy December. Oh my gosh, how did we get here? So I am wanting to talk about how I lost 8 pounds over the course of 2020. And I wanted to make this post. I was inspired because just a couple days ago I got on the scale and I am 1 pound away from what I was in my 20s. Hey, Robin. And I haven't seen that number since probably for 12 years ago, maybe. However, at the same time that I'm experiencing this and I'm reflecting on how this has happened in my body, I have a group of people finishing their 30-day program, and a couple of the women were talking about how they were scared to hop on the scale because they felt so good that they were afraid the number wouldn't reflect what they wanted it to. So that's a loaded question, and we talk about weight and our self-worth and all the attachment that people have to the scale. My first thought when I read this group chat that we're all in, I thought, oh boy, they should just not get on the scale. They should throw out the scale. It doesn't matter. And, I coach them through on all of that stuff. So I rarely talk about weight because it is low on my list of importance. And ever since I started teaching the nutrition program that focuses on removing inflammatory foods because of an injury that I had, my focus has been on relieving pain through a nutrition program and a lifestyle. And then all of the other list of benefits that I've had, myself included, and then my clients have experienced, like pretty much anything you can think of, any issue in the body or even mentally. And I can tell you that I've had a client that experienced that. So I get so excited about how people feel that some people ask me when I'm sharing what in my business, what the nutrition program is, they say, oh, well, can I lose weight? And I say, oh yeah, well, that's a nice byproduct of healthy living. So I hesitate to talk about things like this. However, over the course of, working in fitness for 20 years, clients ask me, well, how can I get a six-pack? Well, I've lost, whatever weight. How can I get a six-pack? Well, having been married in my 20s to a amateur bodybuilder, I know exactly how you can get a six-pack. And I tell them that. I say, so you cannot have any alcohol. You cannot have any sugar. I can tell you actually how to carb cycle and do real specific calorie counting and macro counting, enough to drive yourself crazy. I've seen that firsthand. So, and I tell people that and they go, oh yeah. And no one's willing to do that, right? And in general, people are like, no, I'd rather have my wine and my chocolate and be at a healthy weight and not worry about finding the six-pack and their 8-pack that's in there. So, but this year, early on in the year, I started out the year doing, I tried to do 90 days of my 30-day program, and I made it to day 42. And then a couple months later, I decided to start seeing a functional medicine practitioner because of some hormone issues. My cycle was getting off. And then through working with her, I also realized I got a panel of my gut microbiome, and I learned that I had some gut bacteria that were out of balance and some other things. So I was looking at my overall health, and as a result, she said, okay, you are aware of removing inflammatories, which was part of the program. And she said, this is more than a 30-day fix. And she said, you've got to look at taking 6 months away from alcohol and sugar, which are my two vices common, typically. As far as like if I'm going to have a little treat, it'll be with alcohol and sugar. I'm fine removing the gluten and the dairy and other things. So I was like, oh boy, okay. And here we were, that was in the summertime. So we'd already been through the big first lockdown. And I have done it, not 100%. I've drank alcohol maybe 4 nights out of the 5.5 months here. And I've had sugar occasionally. I have a piece of dark chocolate pretty much every day, sometimes two, but it's 70% dark and whatever. So, but I just have been reflecting on, okay, because weight loss was never part of my goal. I had what we call a set point, and there's different theories on this, but I think your body, your hormones, when your body knows that you are a certain X amount of pounds, you need then this amount of hormones and cycling through your body in order for it to function. So that's why people have a plateau and they can stay at the same weight. And then you can work out really hard for a month or two and really restrict your calories and lose a little bit. But then once you kind of go back to your normal lifestyle, you go right back to that set point. So I was at a set point for several years, at least 5 years, I'd say. But this year has been very different. So the first thing is that I focused on true health. I was focused on what's happening in my body. Really got tested and found out some things that I really wanted to fix and to cure. And then having been either staying with my parents most of the time from March till now, I've had maybe two to 3 months where I'm out and about. But even still, if I'm with friends or if I had my Airbnb in New Orleans, I'm cooking at home. So there's been far less going to restaurants, and that minimizes not really processed foods, because you can have processed foods at home, but it's more those hidden ingredients that we don't know about in restaurants, which makes the food so delicious. All the sugars and the different oils and the things that they put in the food. So when you're cooking at home, you are in control of what you're having. So you're aware of that. I've also had decreased stress, which I acknowledge is a privilege, and I'm blessed and I'm grateful, because there's a lot of people that have had more stress this year. So living at home, having a wonderful relationship with my parents, and having a really safe place has decreased my stress. I've also been able to start a meditation practice and been very consistent with that, like at least 7 days in a row. I usually go like a few days in a row and then I take a couple days off, but that's becoming more and more a part of my life. And also less travel. And so even while I love travel, and I will go back to that, I'm planning on it in January, hoping the universe allows that. It's stressful. It's stressful to move around, especially if I'm going to different time zones. Then my sleep is getting off. Having to be going into different cultures, or even if it's within the US, I'm staying at different friends' houses, or I'm driving around, or I'm living out of a suitcase, or I have a car full of stuff. And there's just an extra layer of stress with that. So I've have a ritual that I haven't had. Even when I lived in San Francisco, I had some, but it's just different this year. And without drinking alcohol and sugar, that is a longer time to be away from, the key inflammatories for a lot longer. And I think that has had a really big effect on it. And that's a big shift for me. I have always kind of, especially working as a wellness consultant and in the fitness industry for so long, I've kind of prided myself on being, I want to be relatable. And part of that is that cocktails and wine and dining out, and when you travel, eating all the interesting, curious things you find. And I want to be able to do that and show people that you can live a healthy lifestyle with that, which I was. And the weight that I was at was not an issue before. But now that I for those health reasons, I chose not to. And the mental clarity that I have, and I had a couple drinks a few weeks, maybe a month ago. I had 2 drinks, and I remember feeling this, and I'll make it, we'll talk more about the alcohol stuff specifically, but anyway, yeah, I won't even go into that anymore because that's not the point. But so all of these things holistically have gradually dropped my weight down a pound, next month a pound, next month a pound. And so now, here I am, a pound away from my weight in my 20s, which of course my body still looks different. It's not, I had a six pack in my 20s and I don't now. Everything's, there's a little soft layer over things, which just is the beauty and the blessing to be older. But yeah, so that's a little bit of my story of the changes that I've made. And, while teaching the 30-day program now for 10 years, and I'm more motivated than ever right now. And I feel like with everyone being in lockdown and all the stress out there and the focus on wanting to have a strong immune system and the habits and the drinking and the coping and the baking and all the things that have happened, like it's a huge time of year for my team and I. We are out there spreading the word, saying, there's a solution. There's a path that can get you out of maybe whatever issues you're dealing with. However, it's 30 days, but it's not 30 days. And we talk a lot about that, about continuing this, this program. And Katie, I see you on here, and you've experienced this where, taking it a few months at a time and really making it a more of a lifestyle, true lifestyle change. And that has made the difference. So 30 days is a great place to start. 30 days is where you're going to see, connect the dots within your body, but then learning to not only maintain, but even gradually improve your habits over time. And that maybe 10 years later, you will be able to give up alcohol for 6 months. And really at this point, I don't see myself, I'm not going to be exclusive to having no alcohol ever, but it's not an interest of mine, which is weird for me to say. Like I'm a social drinker. I have been a social drinker since high school. So it's a big change. So yeah, I'm excited about this, and we'll see, as the restaurants open back up and as I start traveling again, and as, we'll see what happens in the body, but it's been a really nice science experiment, unintentional, to show that it's true what I was saying. If you want to lose those last pounds, it takes being more, I hate the word strict, but it is. It's having more boundaries and guidelines and really having the reason. If I set the intention to lose 8 pounds in January, I didn't care. So, but I do care about my gut health. I do care about my immunity. I do care about my hormones. And so that is the powerful why that has now brought me to this kind of like bonus cherry on top result. So thank you for listening. And if you want more information on the 30-day program, I'm putting together groups right now, and I would love to share it with you and have you on board. Take care.